Hello everybody. Today I am planning on doing some modifications to my new Bamboo GTX off-road electric skateboard. Well, modifications, additions. First thing I'm going to do is put these sticky thingamajiggies that mount GoPros on the front and back. The other thing I want to do is just put some silicone sealant around the edge of the battery pack just to try and stop any errant moisture getting in there. I'll explain my reasoning for that a bit later, because the first thing I've got to do is go out and get the silicone sealant. And also we've run out of milk, which means no coffees, which means, emergency, let's get cracking. One of these should do the job. Just a quick word about EVs, because I think I've found my perfect electric vehicle. It is not the fastest one you're ever going to see. Well, it's only an 80 kilowatt motor, so really not very fast. It's only got about 100 miles worth of range, unless the sun is shining, but what it does have is about 3 kilowatts of solar panels all over it. It's an EV motorhome. Extremely exciting. I would love to have something like that. You know, if I wasn't married and I didn't have a child, I'd probably live in it. I quite like the way they've coated it in solar panels, so it kind of doesn't matter which direction the sun's coming from. It should be hitting some of the panels somewhere. And then of course you've got all that lovely power to use when you're parked up, whether there's actually campsite power or not. Okay, and now onto this board. I want to mount some GoPros first, so I think that's where I want to put them. So I don't really want my foot to go any further than that anyway, because then when I'm turning, it'll hit the wheel. You can mount it on top of the truck, but nah, I think I prefer it there. But that means I'm gonna have to cut away at some grip tape. In terms of the sealant, this is an adhesive sealant, so if I ever want to get back into the battery pack, I'm going to have to cut through this stuff. But let me just explain why I want to seal up the battery pack anyway. Because it's not so I can go through the rain. It's really just as a kind of fail-safe measure to make sure that no moisture gets in there. Because the UK is famous for being a bit soggy. And I'm not going to ride it when it's raining because it'll just be hair-raisingly frightening and not a fun experience generally. Nothing much is a fun experience in the rain. But sometimes, especially in winter, it can take quite a long time for the road to be fully dry. And what I don't want is bits of water and grit to slowly hit the underside of the board and work their way into the battery pack there. And what I definitely don't want is to accidentally go through one big puddle and just through pure chance it happens to short something important out. So to prevent these things from happening, I'm still umming and ahhing about this mount point. I think I'm going to wait to do the second one. See if I like the results of the first one. The problem is, it's quite gappy, especially here at the back. Decisions. Maybe I'll leave the, well, I'm going to have to go get Jasper anyway from school, so. I think the one at the back, I'm going to put here, because then I'll get a slightly higher shot if I want the motors in. Let's give it a quick go. Okay, that's all I've got time for now. I have to go get Jasper. Let's get you inside, monkey.
I was still bored.
Did you have fun at school? Yeah. Good. I've had a bit of a think now on this seal the board situation. I think I'm going to do it. I'll do this front bit first. Yeah, it's not so bad. Ironically, I actually think from a certain distance, it actually looks better than it did originally, because I tell you what, I'm not personally a massive fan of that whole foam sticking out between plastic and wood thing, and this board did have a bit of that going on. Now it's got a little bit more of a built-in feel to it. It's not my best work ever, and I've got to caution anyone else who's thinking of doing anything similar, even if that something similar is resealing a shower tray. Sealant is amazingly, annoyingly difficult to get even vaguely approaching neat, and it's only because our shower keeps leaking and I've resealed it like twice since we've been here that I've stood any chance at all of doing an even part-way decent job at this. Now, I strongly suspect the best thing to do at this point is going to be wait for it to get reasonably dry before I jump on the board, which is annoying because what I really want to do is jump on the board and see if all the sealant just comes loose as it flexes. I don't think it will, but who knows. Whilst the sealant may not do an enormous amount in terms of rainproofing, that's fine because I don't really care or want the board to be rainproof. What I do want is for me to be able to ride it through longish, perhaps slightly damp grass without the grass flicking up and bits of water catching in particular on the front and working their way in. That's what I'm trying to avoid, and by all accounts this sealant's going to do a good job of that. Good news is, the silicone seems to be holding, which means it's kind of sort of got a little bit more protection against water. Yay! Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog post. If you have, remember to like it, share it and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram if you don't already, and I will see you tomorrow for the next installment of my daily vlog. Bye!